About 4.5% of the U.S. population identifies as LGBTQ, or an estimated 11 million people, of which 88% are employed. This is according to the 2018 report by MAP and the National LGBTQ Worker Center. I'm Brittany Schweitzer, and this is Calling BS. I have a guest with me. Her name is Amy Heckman. She is actually my little from my sorority. We have been good friends for, over 6 years, right? 2013, right?
Well, yeah.
Like 6.5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've known each other for quite a while. We have known each other during our whole coming out adventure. We have rooted each other on through the whole thing, to say the least. It's been a good time.
It has been a good time.
Some downs and some uppers,
Okay.
It's been an adventure. So, do you classify as anything, or do you identify as anything?
So generally, like anytime we have this conversation, or I have this conversation with anybody, I feel like if I have to identify, not have to identify, but like if I do identify as anything, I identify as pansexual. But in daily life, I feel like we use the terms lesbian or gay. It's just easier almost. Like,
that is literally how I am.
Yeah, it's just easier. It just is quicker too. I don't know, but I would say I identify as pan because it just encompasses more, I think, because I wouldn't say that I'm just attracted to women, but I feel like I'm mostly attracted to women, but I'm attracted to everybody. So it's a way to encompass that I can like anybody, because I'm not necessarily attracted to just gender. It's your personality. And I've always just said, if you have a cute face and a good personality, I'll probably find you attractive. Just the easiest way to like.
There you go.
So, but yeah, like in daily life, I feel like we, and Krista too, my wife, we both use gay and lesbian more so.
Yeah. That I know that Blake is lesbian. She doesn't identify as anything else, and I don't think she would ever date anything but women. And I'm just like you, like it's just easier to sit there and say that we're a lesbian couple.
Right. Exactly.
Why would I say?
To sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm pan and she's bi, and let me get into a lot of other.
Exactly. Yeah, so I would like I would, if I have to identify, which I hate identifying, but it's what people want. They want labels. I would be bisexual and she would be a lesbian, but I do the same thing. We're in a lesbian relationship. I mean, we're doing this forever anyways, so at this point, we're a lesbian couple. Lesbian married couple.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's next. Amy.
Let's do it.
Your coming out story has been a fun one. Yeah. A little bit harder. For Blake and I, it was a lot easier. I think it was more mental game for us.
I don't think my coming out story is that unique though, which is kind of sad. But
I don't agree with that. I think everybody's coming out story is unique.
Well, I guess I don't mean it that way. I mean it more as like, I feel like there's people who have similar stories to mine that is not fun.
Yeah, but that's the point. So now they can kind of relate to you in some sense right now.
True.
To your story.
Yeah. So my story, I mean, I feel like most people come out to friends first, right? That's just like, it's just the easier, right? You've picked these friends. These are the people that you've chosen to surround yourself with. So it's just and it's not always easy, but it's easier to come out to friends, I think. So you were the first person that I actually came out to, but that was, yeah. Well, but I think it's funny because I feel like we all kind of found each other a little bit in college. Like, we were not in a community where, like, you would think you'd find
we were
a bunch of gay people.
We were in a sorority surrounded by women.
Yeah, Greek life. And
Greek life. Yeah.
So we think of Greek life, right? So
people, whatever,
But somehow, like, I feel like this group of us kind of found each other. And I mean, you were my big, so we were around each other a lot. And I saw you kind of come out first. So I had something to kind of go off of a little bit. Like, I knew you weren't gonna be upset about it. Like, if it, so it was easier to come out to you, but I think it's just the harder part of coming out to yourself first. Right.
Yeah, so absolutely.
When I got to college was when I really started to, like, understand that I could have a different life than what I was taught that I could have. So once I got to college and started understanding myself more and not just what people wanted me to be, I was able to actually realize that, wait, like, I think I'm actually attracted to women. Like, like, I feel like, but when you're in a place where that's not on the table, you just kind of don't think about it. So first part is coming out to myself, which was freshman year of college, I guess. I think because I came out to you at date party for our sorority.
Spring of 14. So, like, maybe like 6 months after me.
Right.
Because, like,
because I came out to you.
Mine was in October.
Yeah. So I came out to you at one of, like, our formals or day parties, and then I immediately got back to my dorm, sobbed, and called my siblings.
Oh my gosh, so dramatic.
I know, it's fine. And called them, and they were with my cousins, actually. And so I was talking to them, just like, I don't know, I think I like girls. And I'm, like, crying on the phone, and they were like, it's fine, like, we'll figure it out. Like, they're like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So that was, like, I feel like the beginning of my coming out, because then I started coming out to friends, like, other than you. I feel like that's summer when I went home.
Yeah, I think that's really, like,
home for the summer.
Yeah.
And so, like, my high school friends and stuff, I started telling then. And I think that was when I was still talking to that girl on Tinder or something, or I was talking to other girls on Tinder or something. I don't know. I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I think that was just, like, a trial run for you to figure out if it's, like, what you're into and stuff.
Well, because that was, like, I think the biggest thing for me, though, is it's so weird and it's so small, but, like, having a text message that said, like, good morning, gorgeous or beautiful, or, like, sending that to somebody felt so much more natural for me than, like, good morning, handsome, or, like, whatever. Like, I know, I just, like, it just made me, I don't know, it just sat better, which is weird. But then, so after telling my friends, and then I met Krista, obviously, and we started dating May of 2015. I had to tell my parents eventually, because I was like, I mean, we're serious, and there's no way that I can't tell them. It's just not possible.
You can't hide her.
Yeah, and I didn't like hiding her. That was, like, the worst part. I hated it. Like, so she came home with me before we were out, and so my parents had already as friends, and my parents had already met her, and they knew I was talking to her all the time. We were on a vacation pretty soon after we started dating, like, that summer, and I mean, we were talking all the time. So like, I distinctly remember my mom saying, like, what, is Krista your new best friend? And I was like, yeah, that's what we're gonna say. And on that vacation was when gay marriage became legalized.
Yes.
So we're sitting, like, I'm sitting there, like, elated, but my parents make me turn it off, the TV, because they don't want to see it. If that gives you any inkling to how that coming out went. But yeah, so I don't know. So I had to tell them. And so I think we were about 6 months in. I think it was the November after we started dating. I just decided to drive up. I was like, I'm just going to do it. There were so many times I'd be sitting in the car with him, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now.
It
And
is
like, my
so
palms are
hard.
sweating. And my mom's like, why are you like sweating over there? And I'm like, I don't know. It's fine. And then I chickened out and didn't do it. And that happened so many times. So
It's
eventually,
so hard. It's not as easy as people think. Like, you
no,
just
it's really
literally,
not.
you think things in your head, and yeah,
You're like, oh,
you
I'm going to do it.
just,
It's going to go like this. This is what's going to happen.
yep. Mm-hmm.
And when you have a super religious family like mine, it makes it even a little harder. So I actually was in therapy at the time, and my therapist recommended writing a letter. She was like, that way you can get out everything you have to say, and nobody can cut you off. You have everything written down. And so I wrote a letter and drove up there, and I was like, I'm coming home. I just miss you guys. So I drove the hour and a half home and sat them down, and I was like, I need to talk to you guys. And they were like, oh God, here we go. And I was like, here we go. So I handed them the letter and I said, just read it and don't talk to me until you're done. We'll talk after. So we sat there at the kitchen table and they read their letter. And there was a long pause for a while, I think, when we all gathered ourselves. And the first question my mom asked me was, is it Krista? And I said, yes.
She is the woman.
That's it. My coming out story is not fun. Obviously, it didn't go great, but it could have gone worse. And that's the way I've always kind of chose to look at it. Was there are so many people who were in my position that have been disowned or kicked out or cut off, and they were not happy about it. And to them, I was going to hell. They didn't cut me off, and they didn't stop talking to me. And so you have a choice at that point, right? Like, and so I just chose to look at the good side of it, and I didn't get cut off, and they didn't stop talking to me. And I mean, that's where it was. And it's gotten better we've been together for almost 5 years, and it's definitely gotten better. It's not perfect, but nobody's family is. But it's definitely got better. They came to my wedding, which was huge. Didn't think that was going to happen.
So big.
I knew my mom would, but my dad was kind of on the fence about it, and he showed up. So there's that. There's my coming out story.
Hey, they were there when you got married. That's a big deal.
Yep. My dad introduced himself to Blake. So
he did. Yeah, he came up. Yeah, he didn't talk to me though, but he did talk to Blake. So I don't know. Your parents, they are nice people.
I love them.
Yeah, I'm like, they're amazing people. And
it's just, people have different beliefs and different ideas of how life should be, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think it was just a personal struggle with them and their religion.
Right. Which I don't envy, realistically, like, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, thinking that your daughter's, like, eternity is damned.
Yeah.
I don't envy that.
No, I couldn't imagine, like, thinking that about your child because of your religion. But, I mean, that's how it is.
What you know, and that's your your truth at that point. So
yeah, we can't fault them for that.
Right, exactly.
Now, your jobs in college, you were there for a couple of years, I think. Did anybody know about you and Krista?
So I worked retail for a couple of years, and then I also worked at our like school's rec center.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That one was
that was
not as long,
quicker one.
Yeah.
At the gym, my boss didn't know, but like the coworkers I was close to knew. I mean, I worked like with the same like 2 people every morning or whatever. So when Krista and I got together, I told them, But we were like a little group that just told each other everything, and we were all in college at a liberal arts college, so it wasn't like it was I don't know, it wasn't a weird thing, and they seemed cool with it. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. They all liked Krista. It was fine.
Yeah, that's good.
And yeah, so that one wasn't a big deal at all. But so then I worked the retail job for a couple of years, and there's just a thing with retail where y'all just get real close. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
like y'all get real close, and sometimes there's drama. I don't know, but we were all pretty tight. So I did eventually tell them, and I'm trying to think when that was, because my boss, I wouldn't say was the most, like, if you just talk to her most of the time, you wouldn't think that like she'd have an issue, and she didn't. But some of the conversations we had, I was a little iffy about if I should tell her. She had a gay best friend, so I was like, I don't know why I was kind of iffy about it.
She should be good.
But it was one of those things that was like, the way she talked about it sometimes didn't give me the impression that she would be super psyched about it or anything.
Yeah.
And also, like, do you have to tell people? It's like one of those catch-22. It's like, these are my work people, not necessarily my everyday, because that was a part-time job. So
yeah, that's true.
But we talked about everything at work. So, and like I said, retail is a little bit more like, I don't know, we became friends, and one of the girls I worked with was in our sorority. That's how I even got the job.
Yeah.
So, and they all were already had like their friend group. And so I think I probably came out because I probably told her first, since she was in our sorority and like we were hanging out at that time. And then by, I mean, just association, we all just kind of talked about it. But it was definitely as in like a, not like I'm gay or whatever. It was like, I'm dating this woman. Like, it wasn't like a just open thing. Like, it was, oh, are you dating anybody? Yeah, happens to be a girl. Just kind of what it is.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think?
I think it's just easier. Well, for me, like, the reason I even told my parents when I told them, one of my big things was it's easier to put a face to it, I feel like. So if you can say this is the person, it's a lot easier than just saying,
literally like, what I did.
Like, than saying just outright, I'm gay or I'm lesbian or I'm pan or I'm bi. It's more, I love this person and that's what matters right now, kind of a deal. But and the girl in our sorority knew Krista because she was also in our sorority. So
that's true. Couldn't hide that one too much, huh?
Yeah. So, and everybody was super cool with it. Everybody always asked about how she was. I mean, it wasn't a thing, but you always make it out in your head to be a thing.
Yes. So, absolutely.
Yeah. So that job, it wasn't bad. They were fine.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. It's funny that the boss seemed a certain way, but yet had a gay best friend.
Right.
So that's interesting. So did you ever tell her?
Yeah. So or did she find? She knew, but she was like one of the last. And I kind of told some of the other people, like, I just don't know her well enough to like really want to come out to her myself. Like, specifically look at her and be like, by the way. So
do you think if she would have been a coworker, it would have been different? Or do you think it was just like her personality in general made you feel that way?
Well, I think two things. If she was a coworker, it'd be different because her authority level was different. So that's different. And then, but I think it's also her personality. I feel like she has a very, not dominating personality, but kind of like she's, so I think that's part of it too. She was already kind of intimidating. I mean, I loved her, but she was kind of intimidating. So yeah. There's that part of it too. So I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
It's interesting that you even said that if she was on a coworker, basically, so on the same level as you, it would have been different. Right. But when it's someone that's above you, managing you.
Well, you just think about the same way that like it's your parents versus your siblings, right? Like your parents are your authoritative role and your siblings are like your coworkers. They're the same level as you. Like you powwow and sometimes you talk about spouse. But it's just more of a, I mean, we're kind of taught to, obey authority. So
Yeah,
you don't
that's very
want,
true.
and they have the ability to fire you. So there's that.
Now, I guess, would you title yourself a nanny?
Yeah,
Or
that's what
okay.
I call myself. Yeah.
When you started, you were going into you still kind of go into other people's homes, and now you're bringing them into your own home.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had what are your thoughts on that with you being married to a woman? Have you told every parent?
So when I started, Krista and I were newly dating, and this was a family I didn't know very well. I don't think they even really knew our family friends all that way. It was like a family friend's granddaughter, essentially.
Oh wow, it's like literally
like a family friend's stepmom's granddaughter or something. It was like a weird, I don't know, it was a weird way that it worked out. But I didn't know that family very well, and I was still working out where Krista and I were and how to be in the world together. So I didn't tell them, but I wasn't telling people really at that point.
Yeah.
So, and this is a family, like they would have been totally fine with it, but I didn't know. I had no idea. I needed this job, and I'm around their kid, and so I didn't tell them. But during that time, Krista and I got engaged. So I guess maybe it was longer than how long was I with that family? But we got engaged
because it was that
part of the time that I was with this family. Yeah, we got engaged, and I was like, it's weird that big things are happening in my life, and like they have no idea. Like
they didn't know at all.
No, they had no idea Krista and I were together.
They didn't even know.
They didn't know I was engaged until I think I randomly. So the dad and I would talk more. He was a little bit more chill than the mom was. The mom was very like business, like if she's around, it's very business. And he was very spiritual in like not in a religious way, but in like a vibey kind of way. So, and he would work from home sometimes. So we would talk a lot more. And I think I randomly just was like, oh yeah, I'm engaged. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I think I may have told him then that it was to Krista.
And at this point, you were nannying in their home.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You were not bringing anybody into your house yet.
No. But the kiddo had met Krista at that point. So if I had to do it again, I definitely would have told them, just because, I mean, I would want to know,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just didn't.
I think it's so.
It was all very new, and I didn't know how to approach it, and so I didn't tell them. But I would. That's something I would definitely redo. And they would, like I said, they would have been fine with it. It was just a weird scenario where I was still new in the whole thing, and yeah. But yeah, I was in their house still.
So now, gosh, you've had quite a few families.
Yeah.
Come in and out.
Yeah. So now all of my families know. All of the families I have now actually came to our wedding. And I think that's probably like any family that's come into our house knows, because she's around. And I don't know that I like specifically would look at somebody and be like, oh, by the way, I'm dating a woman at that point, or or I'm married to a woman. I think it kind of happens more naturally. Like if your kids are around me now, they're going to be around Krista, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, because now you have them in your home more.
Right. But even if I didn't, I mean, she was still around a lot. And like I said, all the families I have now, it's way more of a personal job. By extension, they're part of my family now. So if they didn't know, it'd be weird.
So I know you've added a family or so in the last little bit. Did you tell them? Like, do you tell them now? Is that like part of your thing, or do you just?
I don't really tell them. I think it's literally just if you come.
Or just make it more.
I think it's just natural. It's just a casual thing. Like you just mentioned, oh, my wife Krista, in a conversation. It's not a Like, and just so you know, like, just to be clear, it's just like, oh yeah, and my wife will be around here and there or whatever. I think it's just way more natural than like a very like professional. By
Well,
the
I
way, I'm
also
gay.
think it's making it more normalized. Like
Right,
my wife, and
absolutely.
like you don't have to be. By the
Right,
way,
it's
I have
very
a
normal, and
wife.
I mean, when you come in our house, it says Mrs. and Mrs., but it's very much more just natural of like, and when you're talking about yourself, I mean, you include your spouse in that conversation generally. Like,
Yes.
people are getting to know you, and I'm married and things like that. It's not. I guess that's probably how it comes out now. But again, all of the families that I have now all kind of know each other in some way. So like I know your family from you. And then I got one of my other families through them. They were like college friends. And then another one was like through, it's called Mama's Hip, but it's like a place that does like kid music classes and stuff that I would take the kids to. And so I've met
Mhm.
the music person. And so it's like I now have her nephew. So
Mm,
it's like a weird
yeah.
thing where everybody's already kind of known each other.
Yeah.
And so they probably know anyways, just through talking to each other. But yeah, because all of the families I've had, well, and then actually, so one of the ones that I have most recently, we met just out randomly. Went to some holiday thing that they were running, and Krista and I had gone on a date night to this holiday event they were throwing, and we ended up talking to them for a while and found out we were neighbors. And so when we introduced ourselves, like I generally introduce and I'll be like, oh, and this is my wife, Krista. And she was like, wait, like your wife? Or like, you know how like friends call each other like, oh, my wife. I was like, no, like my wife. So that's how they found out. And we found out they lived in our neighborhood. And they had no issue with it.
Has any parents yet had an issue with it, or
I have not had a family have an issue with it. But again, like I said, we all kind of knew each other. I think we already kind of knew that we would all be similar. We all live in a similar area too. We're very lucky where we live, I will say. That I feel like generally it's pretty open around here, especially
Mhm.
in the area where I am, which I feel like is a little bit more of a liberal hub in our city. And they're all from that area. So, and if people are referring them to me, I kind of just assume that they're going to be accepting of my lifestyle and my life choices. If they weren't, obviously we would have to discuss
We
it.
have some problems?
But yeah, I haven't had any issues. I've been very lucky, but I'm at a position where I can kind of pick and choose too who I want to work with and
Yeah,
who I don't.
that's
So
awesome that you can do that.
yeah, so if there was an issue, it would be a non-issue. So because I just
Yes.
wouldn't work with them.
You're like, no, this isn't working
Like
for us.
even like on like care.com and stuff, I'll if it says things in their description of things they're looking for in a nanny, I can just be like, yeah, not a good fit. Like, and that part of that might be judgment on my side, but I feel like I'd rather judge the situation when it's just on a piece of paper than get into a scenario where we have an issue and I'm in somebody else's house or something of that nature. So
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I feel like you from your point of view, I mean, this
Yeah.
is technically like you running your own business.
Yeah.
So you get to pick who you get to work with, and that's what bosses do.
Right.
They have to there has to be some form of judgment. And if you're like, okay, these people don't seem like people that would want to be around a gay couple or
Exactly.
just like my values or anything like that,
Right.
like you
Right.
get to decide that.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm lucky in that way that I do get to kind of pick and choose. And I'm just a big person of why would I surround myself around people who don't, support me, or it's just easier to kind of decide not to not to apply to those jobs, or I
Yeah.
don't know.
Your kids are pretty young, but I mean, do they understand the concept of anything do they know like you and Krista, like she's your wife, or they just know her as Krista?
So I think that question goes, it's kind of twofold because number one, yeah, like you said, my kids are pretty young. They're all 3 and under. Do they understand the concept of marriage and husband and wife, or wife and wife, or like any of that together in the first place? I think is the first question, right? Like,
Mhm.
do they understand the concept of a couple or of like romantic love or things like that? And I don't want kids are smart. So I'm not going to say that they don't, because who knows, they might, and they just don't know how to vocalize that or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think because your nephew understands that his mom and dad are married. He understands that. That makes sense to him. And when we've told him before, whatever, it's not something we hide around our house.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he understands the idea of like what married actually means or what a couple actually means, but he understands that Krista and I go together. Where there's an Amy, there's a Krista. Where there's a Krista, there's an Amy. He understands that concept of.
Oh yeah, he understands that if he sees me, he asks where Blake is. So,
right.
So yeah, same
I
thing.
think he understands.
Mm-hmm.
Does he understand to the degree of, oh, they're married, that means this, this, or that? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know. But he definitely understands that we go together. I mean, all of my kids do. Some of my other families, the kids, they do the same thing. I still remember, so your nephew, when he was like 2, I think, your sister-in-law was like, yeah, he was cracking us up because he was using his phones, and he had 2 phones, and he would go, hi, Amy, hi, Krista, and he'd like go back and forth because then he like understood that even like when he's not here and he doesn't see both of us, that we go together, which is interesting. And I think it's kind of fun. We were watching one of my other families overnight, at this point, how many days have we been in quarantine?
Like, I don't.
At least 40 days ago.
Yeah, I would say I'm like a month and a half now, I think.
Yeah. So at least 40 days ago, we were watching one of these families overnight, and they have she's like 5 or 6. She asked us in one of the mornings when we were getting breakfast ready, she was like, are you guys friends? I'm like, no. Well, I was like, well, yeah, but no. And she's like, are you sisters? I was like, no. I said, we're married. And she goes, oh, that makes sense. And then just like went about her day. Like she had it didn't bother her.
Thing about kids.
Like, oh, cool. Like, whatever. And she also came to our wedding, so we reminded her, like, yeah, you came to our wedding. She was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, it didn't faze her. It wasn't an issue. It was a non-issue. She was just cool. She's like, fine. Makes sense to me.
We could all be like kids.
Right? Wouldn't it be
kids or dogs? Because if you were like a dog, dogs don't care who you are. Mm-mm. Well, they can kind of sense if you're a bad person. But
yeah,
for the most part, dogs don't care what you look like.
No.
Who you're with or anything. No. Like they just want to be loved.
These kids don't care either. And these kids,
it's just like kids.
My kids love her. Like they love her. And having her home during quarantine has been like the best.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're so confused if she's not in the room with us in the morning. They're like, "Where?" One of them calls her Kaka. Kaka, Kaka. Like you'll hear him screaming, Kaka.
Is there anything else that you would want to add on that subject? Because I think you've been with your jobs. Because I think it's just been the retail job and nannying that you've been out.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. I've also worked at 2 churches, but they've been pretty chill. But those churches, like, so Krista and I work at the same one right now. She is in the choir and I do childcare. And she already worked at that job. So and we were already engaged at that point. So when I applied, I just went ahead and like slid in that like my fiance, Krista, works here. Because I didn't want it to be an issue. I was like, I might as well say it up front so that if they do have a problem with it and they don't want to hire somebody that's like in a relationship or whatever, then they can just go ahead and nix it. But
at that point, she was already working there, right?
Right, but I don't know if everybody knew.
Okay.
I think most of them knew, but I don't know if all of them did. And they've been nothing but supportive and awesome. And
did you all debate getting married there, or like they offered it?
So they are one of the churches that they voted to allow gay marriage in their church. But so we talked to the pastor about it, and he was like, it has nothing to do with you guys being a same-sex couple, but you have to be members to
that's right.
get married there. So we would have had to become members, and we weren't ready to do that. But they've been nothing but supportive. They threw Krista like a little bridal shower with their choir, and actually some of them came to our wedding. Yes, they were very kind to us. They gave us time off for our honeymoon. It was nice. And then the other church I was at before this one was a Unitarian church, and they're just cool with everything.
Yeah.
So that was a non-issue. They have a pride flag in the front of their church when you walk in, so which was actually very nice. Oh my god, I think that's one big thing though, is finding a job that you are supported in is huge.
Oh,
the things that can do for your mental health is insane.
Yeah. Well, and that's why even like you said earlier about your retail job, you're like, what is the point of coming out? I'm only here part-time. But if you're going somewhere, even 15 to 20 hours during your weekday,
it's still
you still want to be yourself, and you still want to be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And like you said, you got close to your coworkers, so you're hanging out. You were hanging out with them outside of work.
Not being able to talk about your life has impacts like far beyond.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. Like feeling like you have to filter yourself is not a good time. It's not fun.
No.
And being able to be open and be honest with people is just the best. Honesty is the best policy, right?
Exactly.
It totally changes the vibe of everything once you can talk openly. And so I think finding a workplace that you can do that, and I understand keeping a level of professionalism, like of course, but within that you have to feel like you are supported and that you can be authentic in that. I mean, if you're spending 40 hours somewhere, like, and to not be able to be yourself is
crazy.
Yeah. Like, even like this church,
imagine.
Yeah, this church I was there like 3 hours one Sunday, one day a week, but walking in every day and knowing that I could just be myself there was the best. It's the best feeling. And when you have employees who feel that they can be themselves, like you're going to get better outcome.
Like I couldn't even imagine. I own a company. It took me a little while to tell everybody. But how could I go into work every day and not be able to tell people I mean, when I got engaged, how was I going to hide that I got engaged to somebody?
Well, and yours is a small company too. So like,
so everybody knows everything.
Right.
And everybody from my job all came to my reception.
Right.
Like, they were all there. So yeah, it's so important to be accepted in your workplace.
Absolutely.
I know there's some people, to advance their career, they might have to I think it more depends on like if you're trying to advance your career in a certain path, maybe like a starter job or something like that, and you just can't say anything. But I just couldn't fathom not be able to say anything now. I know at the beginning of my whole coming out story, I probably, if I had a new job, I probably would have been scared to tell people as well.
Right.
But I own my own company now, so.
Well, even like part of it.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. One of the things, I was watching some YouTuber who in their job, they have a uniform and there's like a man's uniform and a woman's uniform. And they were not super comfortable in the woman's uniform, but like even things like that, right? Like having a workplace where you feel that you can dress in a way and present yourself in a way that is authentic to yourself is huge.
Yeah.
Like the church I'm at now, when I went in for an interview there, I think it was the first time I actually dressed the way that I wanted to dress, that I felt comfortable, like felt confident enough to even like present myself confidently. So even being able to do that in a workplace is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is that whatever, people have so many different styles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a so-called dress code, but it's very relaxed.
Right, but it's not like the girls have to wear dresses and
no,
you guys
like
would look weird at somebody if they, came in, if one of your female workers came in like a suit, or like as long as you're dressed professionally. Yeah.
Wear what you want to wear. If you feel comfortable in something, wear it.
I just always think that you're going to get more of a positive outcome when you allow people to be comfortable in their own skin.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're thinking about all these other things, right, about how uncomfortable you are, either in this scenario or in this environment or in these clothes or whatever, you're not going to be focused on the job you have to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot harder to get your job done.
Absolutely. That is all I got for you.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for joining me
You're
and
welcome.
sharing your story to the world.